Hey guys, and welcome back to Cherry Hills. This is episode 13, and today we are doing some general all-around jobs, and we'll also get to mowing some grass here in a little bit. We've got one of our hired hands down at the field 1 running our sugar beet harvester, and we've got another one of our great helpers driving back here to the silo and emptying the sugar beets. And we are going to take a load of liquid manure up to our BGA facility to get our fertilizer and biofuel plants back up and running. We've completed all of the we've completed all of the silage sales to this point, and I have to say that went fairly well. I was really worried that we would run up to an issue where we wouldn't be able to get the silo empty, but we were able to completely empty the silo, so I was very happy with that. While our slurry here is filling up, let's take a look at our finances and see what Biogas Incomes. So we got a nice $416,000 off of that bunker of silage. Now, I am running the more realistic mod. I've mentioned this before, and I wanted to bring it up because they recently have updated the mod yet again, except this time they have split the mod into two different files. And I wanted to kind of talk about that split and kind of identify how that mod has now been split and what each file does specifically. So the more realistic mod is now split into two files. One file which is called morerealistic.zip, and the other file which is morerealisticgameplay.zip. And over at the FSUK forums, there's Dural, who is the mod author for More Realistic, has a post, and he posted some information about that mod, and I had wanted to get a little bit of a clarification. So I had asked a question, and I had gotten my clarification confirmed as to what the differences were between those two files specifically, and I wanted to share that with you guys here. So morerealistic.zip is basically Dural has gone through and made customizations or made edits to the XML file for all of the in-game equipment. Okay, so all of the in-game equipment that you can get non-modded if you run morerealistic.zip, in theory all that equipment should run with his edits, which would give it more realistic engine braking. If you go down a hill, you're going to accelerate. You're going to hear the engine whine up. You're going to have more realistic pull on the engine when you're going up a hill. Implements will have a more realistic pull to them and more realistic weight as far as like dragging a plow or dragging a seeder. Then you've got let me see here. Recently he also added to that zip file 3 of the in-game manure spreaders so that they would have a realistic weight to them and a realistic usage. And then in the more realistic gameplay, what that is, and you can run either or, you don't have to run both. So if you want your equipment to run, if you have in-game equipment and you want it to play realistically, then you would want the more realistic.zip. Then you have more realistic gameplay.zip. And what that does is it only affects the starting equipment on Goldcrest Valley or Sosnoska if you start a new game. So unless you're starting a new game with more realistic gameplay has no real effect on how equipment operates. Okay? What it does do is it affects overall gameplay. Okay, so it affects how your solid and liquid fertilizer, your slurry, and your digestate and your manure are used with respect to field usage. Okay, so when they're applied to the field, it modifies the application rate and basically makes those materials apply at a different rate than what's in the base game. It also affects the in-game economy for prices, so the prices will be different. One thing that I noticed on this map, so we play on hard mode, okay, and I noticed sugar beets have the price is insane for sugar beets, and I don't really understand why I'm getting $961 per 1,000 liters of sugar beets on hard mode on this map compared to corn, which is right now at 658. So the prices, I don't know, maybe they still need a wee bit of adjustment, but they just seemed a bit off to me. But then again, I haven't really done a lot of research to know what the going rate of what the going rate is with respect to sugar beet prices. It also affects the crop yield rates and the seed usage rates. So we're going to drop our fuel tank here, and we're going to drive around here and get a load of digestate and fire up our let's see here. We're going to fire up our fertilizer and biofuel plant. I'll be right back. I noticed our sugar beet harvester seems to be stopped for some reason, so I'll be right back. Okay, we're back from that. Our truck had gotten too close to the harvester, and the harvester thought that it was stuck, but that wasn't the case. So with respect to crop yield, we can expect to have realistic yield on our crops. So that's one thing that I mentioned, like the sugar beet price was fairly high compared to in-game prices, but we all know that sugar beets have a very high yield on them in-game. It may be that even though the price that I'm seeing seems high, it's possible that that has been balanced out by a lower overall yield of the sugar beets. So we will see basically if we think the yield's been reduced on sugar beets. I expect to pull I expect to pull a couple hundred or a couple million liters of sugar beets out of field 1. But we'll just see how much we actually get. And then it affects seed usage rates. So we should be able to see a difference in the amount of seed and fertilizer being used in our seeders by running the more realistic mod. So we're going to run over here, and this tank should, I don't know if this tank accepts fuel. Yes, it does. So we're going to go ahead and fill up. We filled up with all the fuel we had at the farm there in our shell trailer. We're going to fill up with fuel here because if we look at our price overlay, we'll see that we still have a fuel great demand running up there at fuel sales, which is right up the street from here. So we're going to basically pull as much fuel as we can out of our reserves and sell that. And now that we've fired up our, let's check our mirrors here. Now that we've fired up our production plant, we'll be in a position. We'll be in a position to make more fuel before we're going to need it. All right. So let's go sell ourselves some fuel, and then we're going to head back to the farm and start making some extreme bales. And those are the bales that are 6,200 liters in size. and we have a custom bale pickup trailer for those. So I think fuel sales, yep, it's right up the street here. So we have both more realistic.zip and more realistic gameplay.zip enabled on this map. Now, this does not, neither necessarily affects modded equipment. So in order to have a more realistic use of modded equipment, you have to go in and are we selling? There we go. So you have to go in and edit your mods and put in some XML to use that. I have done that on a few of my on a few of our mods, but on a couple mods I did not, simply because of the way it was acting with those mods. I felt that it was maybe not quite right. For example, the tractor we're going to use to run our baler has a rake on the front to help us come on. There we go. There we go. To help us collect there they are, that's unloading. To help us collect grass off to the side. But when I use that rake on a tractor that's been modded for more realistic, the front end just goes all squirrely. It's like it's not touching the ground. It doesn't steer right. It starts to veer off in random directions. So I'm just running a tractor that has the more realistic code removed from it to give me a more expected feel for that tractor for that purpose. But other tractors and other implements, I haven't done the more realistic on these trucks simply because I'm not really sure what the codes should be for a vehicle like a truck or a pickup versus a tractor. So now that we have emptied all of our fuel, we are going to run back here and run back to the farm. And like I said, we are going to get the baling. So the mod contest has been, mods have been submitted, and this is being recorded before the mod contest deadline. But I do know that we have two. Well, I've seen information about 3 really great mods that have been submitted. We have the Seasons mod, the famed Seasons mod that was inappropriately released, or should I say leaked out, but hopefully that was contained somewhat, and we'll know people that have continued to use it when they go to use the real version. We've been told that it will corrupt your save game if you try to use the real version on a save game that has had the old version, the leaked old version on it. So that's obviously not something that that people are going to want to have done. And then we know that we've seen, or at least I have seen, and you may have also seen, a video clip from Black Sheep Modding of their mod pack that they are submitting. And it is basically a giant pack of tractors and implements that are the Massey Ferguson line from 1970 to 1990, and it includes not just tractors but also implements, farm implements. So that is for people that are into Massey Ferguson equipment or just looking for more equipment that's kind of older in general. Then that's something that might be of great interest to you. And you know what? Look at that. Do you see the shadow of the smokestack being cast on the silo as a result of the beacon? That is just cool. That's great lighting effects, I think. All right, so we're up to 500,000 liters of sugar beets on that field. So we're just going to run. We're just going to take a little trot over to where we've got to field 4, which is right up the street here. And then another mod that we know that's been submitted to the mod contest is a map by the famed Mappers Paradise group, and the name of the map escapes me at this point, but Daggerwind did a video on the map. It's been submitted, so we should all be able to, I believe, experience that map very soon, because it's my understanding that we will all be able to vote on the maps. And in order to vote, in my opinion, the only way to do that is to make use of them, to experience them, as opposed to simply see them. So this is the Extreme Baler from, I would have to look up the name in my mods list. I don't remember anymore, but it's definitely in the mods list. You can see that the bale that it's kicking out is significantly bigger than the traditional 4,000 liter square bale, and you'll see that it ticks up well past 4,000 before it resets back to 0. So I had lost this section because I had run the plow too far off the edge of the field, so that's why there's no grass in this particular section. So what we're going to do is we're going to bale up all of this grass, and then we're going to run back and pick up our bale stacker and pick up a stack of bales. And that will probably kind of conclude our time here. You see that is one big bale of grass. We've learned, or at least it's been posted, that with seasons, if you bale grass, the grass bale will rot within a period of a couple days. So it looks like if you run seasons, it looks like your ability to bale grass and store it for any prolonged period of time has now been eliminated. I did pose the question on a forum and got a response back that what if you picked grass up with a forage wagon? Will the grass rot inside the forage wagon if you simply just let the forage wagon sit full of grass? And it appears that in version 1 that is not the case. In version 1 you will be able to store grass in a forage wagon indefinitely and not have it rot. So that seems to be kind of a little bit of a cheat with respect to seasons, to be able to store grass that you've mowed and not used right away. But they have promised that little loophole will be closed up in a subsequent release. So it looks like seasons, which in my opinion, with the 3 mods that I know have been submitted to the mods contest, seasons has it hands down, because while the map might be awesome, I haven't seen it personally. I did watch a little bit of Daggerwind's video, but I kind of stopped watching it because I just couldn't deal with that anymore. But a map, it might be awesome and all, but it's just a map. Some people will like the style, other people won't like the map, simply because it doesn't fit what they want in a map for a farming sim game. At some point in time, you'll just get tired of playing that map, and you'll go on to something else. Whereas I think, like the Massey Ferguson pack, you're going to be able to use that on multiple maps. That's something you're going to be able to use for the entire duration that you're playing Farm Sim. And the same holds for Seasons. Seasons is going to be such a game changer, and to some there goes our train. To some respect, map authors need to basically make edits to their map to fully work with seasons. So, you know, to some degree, if, let's say, this Mapper's Paradise map has been customized to work with seasons, then the way I see it, they themselves have acknowledged that Seasons is such a game-changing mod that they would best behoove themselves to make their map compatible with Seasons. So would that not then basically say that they are in agreement with me that Seasons is a far more game-impacting mod than their map? Because they would want their map to be as compatible with Seasons as possible. So that would be almost conceding that Seasons would be a superior mod with respect to the mod contest. At least that's how I'm looking at it. So it'd be interesting to know what you all think. Of course, by the time this video airs, Seasons will be released as a result of the mod contest. The map for Mapper's Paradise will be released as a result of the mods contest. So kind of time will tell with respect to that, but we'll just have to see. So I'm going to kind of turn around and pick up this other run of grass, simply because I don't want to have to drive all the way around to this side of the field just to pick up this bit of grass. So we're going to make a second pass here, keeping an eye on glance with our sugar beet harvester, which is a simple hired worker. I felt no need to program up a play course for that, simply because I just need him to run up and down. I do not expect to put sugar beets in that field ever again. So it's kind of a once and done thing, so that's great for a hired worker to do. We have great demand for wood chips. Oh, we'll have to see what that great demand price looks like. We might have to we might be doing some logging next episode. I was expecting on next episode to be doing some corn harvesting, but if we've got a nice great demand price, then we might as well just take advantage of that. So what do y'all think of this big baler, this extreme baling pack with the 6,200 liter bales? I guess before you can really make a comment, you're going to need to see the bale stacker in work. The bale stacker will hold 10 of these bales. In a previous episode, I had talked about using a big flatbed trailer to go around and collect these bales after the bale stacker put them in stacks of 10. I did some offline testing, and that did not work out so great. So we're not going to do that. I tried to do the flatbed trailer from the road train pack, because Andy at GTX Modding said that he had that working with these extreme bales, and I ran into problems with that also. But when I asked him about that, he said that it was basically a not yet released version that supported that. Sorry about that, guys. My son came down, and I had to talk to him for a little bit. So we are going to finish up this, simply because I do want to show you off that bale stacker, and I do want to try to keep our time here to 30 minutes, or as close to that as possible. All right, so let's fold that up. And let's eject our bales here. and pick up our baler. And let's drive this back up here and we'll pick up our flatbed bale stacking trailer. I'm pretty confident that we have 10 bales here. Alrighty. Now let's now this tractor is enabled with more realistic. So let's take a look and see what we need to do. In the front we have what's called a bale pusher. It's included with this pack, and I think the way this works is you lower the bale pusher and then this goes into work position. Okay, so you see it swings off to the side and these grabber forks basically rotate down. And the way this works, which is a little weird for how we were just baling this area around the field, but the way this works is you use the bale pusher to come up to the bale and just kind of nudge it to the side, and then the bale stacker grabs it, flips it up on the trailer, and then you'll see it extend for the second bale, which it will then stack on top of the first. Okay, so we're going to just kind of nudge it, and it grabs it, and you got the dust particles coming off, and then it pushes it back, gets in position for the next bale. We did a pretty good job of doing that. Here we got 3 that we're going to try to pick up. So obviously if you can come at them from the right angle, you don't need to nudge them. Okay, so let's get rid of this. Okay. So we've got 5 on there, so we've got half of the load. Oops, completely missed that one. Alright, so there we have 6. Seven. Let's try to get this one so we don't have to nudge it. 8. So since this has more realistic, we've got to be real careful about quick turning because the more realistic mod does affect the overall grip of the tires. You can see if we turn too fast, now that this trailer is getting a bit of a load on it, the tractor will kind of push. Alright, so now we're full, and you'll see that the gripper just stays up there to hold them on. So let's raise our pusher, and let's go back here. Let's put our trailer in transport position. Alright, so now we have a straight trailer tongue. The trailer's going to pull straight behind us. So let's transport this back to where we want to store our bales, which is right over here by our sheep area. We will unload the bales and then we'll call this an episode. So if you like this video, please click the like button. If you're not a subscriber, I'd like for you to go ahead and click the subscribe button. So you can get notified of when we put out more content. On Cherry Hills, we put out an episode every Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday at noon Eastern United States time. That's, I think, -5 GMT. And in addition to our play series on Cherry Hills here, we have a play series on Serenity Valley that is very near. We're up to episode 28, I believe, on that series, and we're going to run that series out to about 50 episodes. And I also do first impressions video map reviews on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Both Serenity Valley and the map videos come out at 6 a.m. Eastern Time. And that's kind of the content that we put out there at this point in time. We'll probably run Cherry Hills for, I'm not really sure how many episodes. At least 30, maybe 50. We'll see. Not sure what we'll do after Serenity Valley hits 50 episodes, but at some point we will do a map with seasons. I will not be bringing in seasons to either Cherry Hills or Serenity Valley, simply because to get the best results. There's no shed back there. All right, so let's try to back up here. So my understanding is to get the best results for Cherry Hills, or for seasons, you need to reset your map, and I'm not looking to do that for either series. So we need to go to prepare position. Okay, then we need to go to unload position, and we're going to, I've never tried moving this in unload, but we're just going to go ahead and try. I want to try to back this a little bit closer to that wall. Okay. Alright, that's probably not going to work out the greatest, but we'll see. Let's actually disconnect and reposition. That's probably the smart thing to do. Okay, and now we need to unload. Y again. Right, you saw the dust particles there. And now we'll just pull forward. So there's a little pusher. We didn't see it. You see that square there? That's a little pusher that kind of helps push the bales away from the little forks there. And now we go to lower platform. And now we go... Oh, now we're done. Now we can go back and get another load of bales, which we will do off camera. But that's the extreme baling pack. I should have looked up the name of the mod group that puts this out, but I have failed to do that. But it is in my mods list, so you'll see it in the mods list under extreme baling. That includes the baler, the pusher, and the bale stacking trailer. So until next time, guys, happy farming.